PowerPoint. Okay.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Got it. Okay, well, NOTAN is about lights and darks. So this is where we're going to go to. It's a Japanese original word. Okay, it involves the play and placement of lights and dark elements as they sit next to one another. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's all part of it. You're making up your composition and imagery. That's a Wikipedia definition of it. The next definition is the Webster's Dictionary, which goes one stage further. You've got the lights and darks, okay, but it's all about, when it's called NOTAN, it's all about flat areas.
Oh.
Right, you're not trying to see them as three-dimensional. Okay?
Right, the audience know that.
Work then?
All will be revealed, honestly. Anyway, here you go. The other thing that we looked at a little bit before with Frances's, some of her tonal colour stuff that we did with her, is the chiaroscuro, if that's how you say it. All right, and I have put in just a little bit so that we can see what the difference is. Oh, that's not what's meant to happen. Okay, try that again. I have put in a bit about the chiaroscuro, and here we have that, which is an Italian word, also meaning light and dark. And that's the technique where you're actually seeing things defined in 3 dimensions. So there is that subtle difference between 2 types of approach in this particular form of art.
So we're going to, sorry, is the Nova thingy, does it combine chiaroscuro, or they're 2 separate things?
It can be either.
Okay.
Because people are just not limited, so it can be either. Okay. It became the most dramatic form of art in the 17th century with Caravaggio, etc. And there's a third terminology there, tembrimisso, okay, or tembrism, and it's just the Italian version of the same thing, really. Caravaggio, who's one of Francis's favourites, as we remember, he's the man, as it were, in this case, who knows all of the techniques and ways of doing things. So this is one of his works. Okay, the dates there, I can't read it at this end because it's under where it says screen sharing.
1602 to 1604.
There you go. So it was quite early on in the 17th century, and that's one of his very famous pictures. But if you look back at anything Francis did, or just have a look on Wikipedia, you'll see this real contrast in light and dark. And this is definitely all 3-dimensional stuff. You can really feel those fingers gripping those ribs and underneath and holding the weight of the body. And look at those hips. I wish we could draw hips like that. Yeah. Okay. So that was that. There's another very outstanding person that you can't look at chiaroscuro unless you also mention Rembrandt. He's got millions of, well, they're not. There's quite a few pictures he's done. He's very, very well known for portraits with the very clear, crisp white face at the front and the really dark backgrounds. Okay, but this is another one of his famous ones, The Flight to Egypt. And again, if you look at the date there, it's around about the same time that this was all being developed. Okay, and again, you can see how the light and dark, it really throws up the pictures. So light and dark. At the minute, there are 2 common uses that I wanted to look at. But it will become fairly obvious why in a while. And the first one is all about light and dark. So Rita, your question about do you mix them? Well, you do sometimes, but this is the first version of NOTAN. It's black and white and it's balanced. All right. And actually, I mislead you by saying that. It doesn't have to be black and white, but it has to be light and dark.
Okay.
Okay, so it's more about the tone there. But these examples, this is another famous example. What do you see when you look at that one?
Table legs and faces.
It's the famous one people often show for other reasons, but that's a classic NOTAN. This one, though, is taking it a little bit further, and this is why I thought Francis might be quite interested. with her card cutting and things.
Yeah, and it looks a bit like a lino cut as well. I'm
Yes,
when I see that.
but everything that's used on the right is used, well, virtually everything is used on the left as well.
Oh,
It doesn't have to be. Okay, you can make any picture you like with this technique, but it is about balancing that light and that dark so that you get a dynamic approach going on. And this is another one that I love because a butterfly, the symmetry's there. You quite often see people using symmetry or using the center of symmetry and moving it around the picture. But it is, if you've got one portion of your picture light, the other portion needs to be dark. Okay.
He's got a question.
I don't have a question.
She doesn't have a
It was
question.
a comment, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, go on, give me a comment.
Does she not
Come on.
help?
I was just going to say it's weird, the butterfly, like when you look at it, it takes a minute to understand that
Yeah,
it's not the same color, even though you know it isn't, like
Oh.
to process it.
You see
Yes.
it as a butterfly,
Right.
even though.
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure out that one half
Get
was
you.
white and one was black.
Yeah. I was going to put in a clip of somebody doing this, and they actually work with a piece of white card as the background and a black card that's half the size of it, and they literally cut out the shapes in the butterfly and just flip it over, and that was the best way for me to realize, because you're quite right, it looks like a completely different picture, doesn't it? Different approach each side. But anyway, but that's
Yeah.
good, like that. So that's the very basic yin and yang. You see a lot of style in this. Look for that two-dimensional element in this though while you're looking at it. That's all what we'd consider flat painting. There's no attempt at 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I've said it's black and white. I've said it a couple of times, so I've put in a slide in color to show you that it can be in color as well. It doesn't have to be black and white, but here the red is representing the dark and the yellow orange is meant to be the light. But again, it's the same principle. I obviously haven't lined it up too well on the right, but you know, never mind. Right, so there's that first approach. The second approach used, I'm describing it as for composition and sketching, but these are some other good reasons for why you could use it. Analysing why some pictures work and others don't. So a couple of weeks ago, June was saying that she was going to go in and review her pictures and see what needed to alter. This might interest her in particular as a way of looking at the picture to perhaps improve it. It's a good preparation stage because it just helps you work out what's going on and whether there's enough light and dark. As a quick reference, it's a great tool for sketching. It's got the checks and balances for the actual composition of the picture as well. You can look at it from a distance and you can look at it close up to see whether it actually works differently. And well, why not just do it that one? Right, so here I'm now going to show you a clip. It is 7 minutes, or probably 6 by the time it's done, but this explains the, if we're lucky, that one. Oh gosh, it wants me to sign it. Forget all that, you don't know what this is.
It's just a chance if we're going out of the PowerPoint and you're sharing PowerPoint, we won't be seeing it.
Book local jobs with Google's local services ads.
We're not seeing the ads. So I think you're still showing the PowerPoint screen.
NOTAN is the harmonious arrangement of the dark and light
so
shapes.
You're not seeing this at all.
We're just seeing the
picture.
7-minute lesson.
Okay, I wonder how best I
It's
can
because
share this with you.
you're sharing PowerPoint, aren't you? Not
Yeah.
share.
So
unshare
if I
screen.
stop share and come back in again,
Yeah, and just share either your Google or
screen would do it, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, if we're really lucky, this
That's
will work.
it. Yep, it's there.
It's there. Good.
YouTube.
Okay, now we'll put it big. Oh, that didn't work.
It's
It
the
is
one
that
on the
one, isn't
far
it?
right.
Oh, the far right one.
No, again,
That one.
again. No,
Okay.
further right. Right.
That
That's it. Yeah.
Hey, okay. And I'm going to turn off that CC thing because that gets in the way. With luck, we will be okay now. So off we go. Sit back and relax and enjoy.
And it's gone down to 4 minutes.
Well,
in the
that's
picture.
good, isn't it?
In Japanese, NOTAN means dark light harmony. There's no direct English translation. A well-designed arrangement of dark and light creates an impression of beauty regardless of either the colours used or of the subject matter. This means that NOTAN design is therefore the key to a strong painting. Without it, both colour and line cannot by themselves create a beautiful painting. Many of the old master paintings have very simple NOTAN structures and also have very few shapes. For example, many of Monet's masterpieces are just two values, as you can see here if we convert this picture to black and white. Here we have just dark shapes and light shapes. So you can see that very simple NOTAN structures can produce very strong compositions. We call this type of painting a two-value NOTAN. This is a NOTAN that has just a dark value and a light value. And often this type of NOTAN is created by the effect of a dark object silhouetted against a backlight. The other French Impressionists learned a lot about NOTAN from the Japanese master printmakers. For example, in this painting by Degas, we can again see two values. We have dark shapes and we have light shapes. And these dark and light shapes make up the whole painting.
There must be something about the relationship between them.
The second most common type of NOTAN structure is the three-value NOTAN structure. This structure is the basis of many beautiful paintings, such as this painting by Degas. If we convert this painting to black and white, you can see the three values. We have a dark value, a series of light value shapes, and some grey shapes.
They're quite random. You know, they don't have to be.
Here is another example of a three-value NOTAN structure in this painting by
I'll come back to
Sargent.
that in a minute, Rita.
Okay.
Again, if we look at it in three values, we can see dark values, light value shapes, and grey shapes.
And that's stunning.
And this
isn't it,
simple
Sheila?
three-value
That one.
structure is the basis of many great masterpieces.
Oh, we're going for that then.
The last type of NOTAN structure that is commonly seen is the four-value NOTAN structure. Here we have a light value, a dark value, and then two grey values, a light and a dark grey. Here's an example. If we convert this painting to black and white, we can see the light shape here, a series of dark shapes, and then two greys, the light grey and the dark grey. Let's look at another example, in this case a more complicated painting by Turner.
Yeah.
Yet if we look at this again in black and white, we can find the same four values. Here's the light shape, the dark shapes, our light grey, and our dark grey.
Mid-tones.
So you can see that in studying a large number of great masters, I found that they nearly always have strong 2, 3, or 4-value NOTAN structures. And these very simple structures create very beautiful paintings.
Okay. And that is...
Half a teaspoon burns fat 728%
you
faster.
don't need to know that.
Before you go to bed tonight, eat 1/2 teaspoon.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so Rita, what you were saying there about there didn't seem, you know, it's
A
a bit random.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, between the darks and the lights. When other people analyze a picture, they will often look for the eye movement that attracts you round to see where the pattern is. And
Yeah.
some people do construct their paintings based on where they want the eyes to travel.
Yeah.
So it's probably a combination of the two.
Yeah.
And
And
seem like
yeah.
they had a column in the middle, often of the light, but sometimes of the grey.
I don't know, it'd be interesting to look at all his the circles he pulled out, because I did see a diagonal in the last lot because I only started thinking about it, but yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is I thought with this particular presentation, it did what I wanted to. You know, it talked about light, shade, and the bits in between. What I wish he had done, rather than circles, is had a mobile pen and just put it around the actual shape,
Yeah,
because that would have been even clearer.
Okay.
So
Then you get the matte shape in the tone.
yeah,
But that's
when
what
you're
we do in our head here, I suppose, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
So it's really so that when you're stuck with a painting or when you're planning it, you know, if you do that bit first, if you do plan your painting first, you can actually stand back and say, is it light? You know, is there strong light? Is there strong dark? And how many tones of grey in the middle? None through to whatever range you want to use. Okay. But it's having the full range of tones in a picture is what makes it quite dynamic.
But not many. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. That's not a lot of tones, you know.
No,
I'd think.
but
one.
Again, if we linked this back to Francis's, do you remember when we painted the Kent Castle? Do you remember that one? She did blue castle and then brown castles.
Yeah, duotones.
Yeah, and do you remember
one.
she had that concertina of a colour, and she'd done all the different tones all the way down.
Yeah.
So it could be up to 10 tones, you know, with the really bright at the top and really dark at the bottom and loads of bits in between.
But then, Eileen, wouldn't that just be, you know, if I did a painting without planning it, I can easily have lots of tones in it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That would be a natural way without considering tones.
You
just
could.
Whatever colour, and then you'd end up with the tones. That wouldn't necessarily make a good
Lots of your
composition.
paintings seem to have
No, but to make the composition more dynamic, the stronger the light and dark that you use, the greater the difference is, the more interest there is the theory.
Oh, well, Megan's looking at my gallery here and she's picking out, maybe she says I maybe do.
Well, I've got a lovely exercise and I'd be very interested for you to do it in a little bit, but just let me finish off this before we
jumping ahead.
All right. The next thing though is to say one of the critical things is if you are planning your work to do a black and white sketch. All right. That would be something to take away from this, is it's worth doing it just to see how it falls together. There was another wonderful YouTube one where a lady explained it all, and at this stage she said once you've actually done the black and white of what's ahead of you, stand back and take out the bits you don't like, that you find a distraction. So that's another good bit of composition and why you might use this when setting up. Okay, this is somebody else's sketchbook. Pity you can't read the writing. It doesn't really matter though. She's looked at the same scene in two different ways, and the one at the top you can see she's got more light than she has at the bottom. So to you, which of these is the more dynamic painting? Top or bottom?
I like the top with the white stripes in the cliff nearest me. It's probably the wrong answer though from what we've just learned. I know, because she's got the white in the sea as well. That's why it makes it more dynamic for me at the top.
Yeah, so she's got more contrast in the dark here, and even in her mid-tone here, she's got quite a big contrast by putting more white in than she had down here.
Has she chopped out where your cursor is? Has she chopped out that bit behind?
She's lowered it. You see this line up here?
Give you a nice shape.
Yeah, she's actually put in an even lighter tone. She's put in a horizon line up here. And what she's done as well, that horizon line is contrasted with the hill line here, because the top of the hill here is just flat and it just disappears in the same tone, whereas she's altered the tone up here. So for planning out where it's going to work, and when I was looking at this, I was thinking about June seascapes.
It looks like June seascapes. Oh, these are nice.
Now this is just somebody. No, I wish it were. But this is somebody who's playing with it. I believe the one on this side was her first just watercolor attempt. Just put the colors you see down.
Right.
Okay. But you can see it's a bit messy here. It isn't very dark. So she then did the NOTAN of where she saw the real hard shadows.
Okay.
Okay. And this is her next move. It's not finished. It's still the sketchbook, but this is where you can actually see the stem as really dark.
Yeah.
She's gone that far in this picture, so she's going to build on that. But then the contrast
tell what
between,
it is. It's not as abstract. You can tell what it is.
Yeah, and the contrast between, if you look at the petal, my cursor decides it's not going to play at the minute. If you look at that petal in relation to the dark color below it, and you look at this petal, same petal, and any of the darks below it, this is a much stronger contrast.
A nice dark bit on the right at the top there, but that's it. Yeah, good point.
Okay. Next one, if we look at, and this I just like.
That one.
Yeah, but look how few colours there are in it. There's dark black and there's grey and a lighter grey, and then the paper is the white they use.
You'll have to do one of those for our wind.
Yeah, I thought Lydia would like that one too. All right, just two more little things. First one here is, this is classic sketchbook stuff. You go out, you take your sketchbook with you. You can see the lines to help you get it all in proportion. Okay, then it's the ink lines in here to give where the foliage and things is. But while the person is out there, they've put down the colours they're going to use in the final picture. That's going to be their lightest colour through to their darkest. Okay.
And they're doing it like a duotone. They're just using brown and white.
They're just using brown. So Francis's approach,
Yeah.
where it was just using the two colours, is there. Do you remember the Angelus picture we looked at a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
That's an example of where you are using a multitude of colours, but it's the tone, it's this bit in the middle here, where he was saying that there was two tones of grey, the sky tone, and then there was the earth, a lighter green and a yellowy green. Okay, so that's why I say that although he says only 4, actually you can use more than that. But that's the way that was constructed. And I haven't really got a comment on the bottom one, apart from I like it, right? Okay, but again, you can see the dark and the light very, if you squint, because that's the other way to see your darks and lights to start with, you just squint and you'll see dark and light very clearly if you have good eyesight. Oh, I meant to go back. There was one more there. This over here is an example again of somebody putting down their colours. This is the black and white sketch, and then they're playing around with a different range of colours. So again, this comment that I'm making is more about, it's really helpful in a sketchbook sometimes to actually capture your colours while you're out there and decide how deep or how light you're going to go. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And that, you'll be happy to know, concludes what I wanted to say about NOTAN. All right.
Lovely.
All right. Good one.
What's fascinating, and then you were going to set us a task as well.
Yes, well, your task is to take a picture of a photograph on your phone of at least one of your pictures and look at it in black and white and see. Now, I'll send you an example of 3 of mine. Right, that's the first one.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's nice. Haven't seen that before, have I?
No, that was this week. This was last week.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. And this is the third one, which you've seen at different stages, right?
Okay.
Right. And
That
I've
looks like
taken
it's
them
got
in
good
black
tones.
and white. And if you take some of your own and look at them in black and white, it'd be fun to spend 5 minutes to critique and say, where would you put more dark or where would you put more light in?
And what have you used to make them black and white? Just the ordinary photo editor?
Yeah, just take your photo, go in and select black and white. That's as complicated as it is. Bless you.
What do you mean select them? Bless you. What editor are you using?
I use that KK Gallery.
KK. Oh, there was a
Yeah.
black and white filter. Is that what you mean?
Yes, just put a black and white filter on it, will do the same. Well, it will do nearly the same.
No,
That
but
might
you
give
did
more.
it a different way. What did you do? I'm in KK.
Yeah, I chose the black and white filter under the 3 circles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got it.
There's a black and white.
Oh,
one.
yeah, that makes it more grey tone. That's better because there is a filter of black and white, but it just turns it black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I've got to change my trees or something.
Well, it would be interesting to see whether you can see where you would, looking at it as a black and white picture, whether you would add or subtract colour. All right, well, we'll come back and discuss that later. So, Peter, you can stop to share if you like.
Okay.
Right.
That's very interesting for lots and lots of reasons. For composition, but also seeing things different, just seeing things.
Yeah, and it's a different approach to setting out as well, because sometimes you're not sure you're going to get a whole picture anyway. So when you're sketching, it gives you some real good clues as to what to sketch. What are you trying to capture?
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll stop recording. You're not going